Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's your man Jay Will. So doing videos like this I really enjoy because you get to see how well a device is aging and you can see how it's holding up against the newer competition. Newer competition being the Moto G5 Plus, and this is the Blade V8 Pro. Both of these phones are really good, but we're going to get into a comparison here and I'm going to tell you how I feel about both of these devices side by side and how they measure up if you were going to purchase either one of them in my point of view. So we're going to start with the basics here, and I'll try to keep this as short as possible and get straight to it. But starting with the build quality and design, you know, both of these phones are really nice. So we're going to start with the Challenger here. This is the Moto G5 Plus, and it's just recently released in April of 2017, and I believe this one hit in February of 2017, possibly, yeah. But the build quality on this thing is nothing short of elegant. Sleek, very nice. So around the back here, you can see this huge camera bump here for the 12 megapixel camera with a 1.7 aperture, I might add. That is going to be something that's really nice. So you've got that bump there. Some people just don't like. You got a noise cancellation microphone on the back there. On this side, you've got a slightly ridged power button and volume rocker is smooth there. And on the, you got your, Motorola dimple. So at the bottom here, you've got USB 2.0, headphone jack, and a noise cancellation mic there. On this side, you have nothing. On the top here, you have a SD card slot that doubles as a, SIM card slot with an addition of a SD card slot in there. And on the front here, you've got a very fast fingerprint reader. That's not a button, it's just a fingerprint reader. And then you've got a front-facing camera there, 5 megapixels, I believe it is. Your front-facing speaker there, it's a single speaker, so that's good. And you got a 5.2-inch 1080p display. Now on the Blade V8 Pro, you have a little bit of a different setup here. You've got dual 13 megapixel cameras on the back, and then you've got a 8 megapixel camera on the front up there. So on the back here with the Blade V8 Pro, you get like this leathery, textured, grippy, rubbery type feel, a feel that some people just, they despised of it originally. And, you know, some people said they actually like it afterwards. Some people still hated it. But it's just there. That's what you got. That's how ZTE did it. So this is what we're rolling with. So on this side here, you've got a power button here, and you've got a volume rocker over here. On this side, you've got the SIM tray, which doubles with an SD card slot. On top, you have the headphone jack and a noise canceling microphone. And on this side, you have a single out and a microphone and a USB Type-C. So with all that techie stuff out of the way, how do I feel about both of these phones? So here we go. Build quality and design. I think the design of the Moto G5 Plus is a lot better than the Blade V8 Pro. But as far as in-hand feel, the Blade V8 Pro feels like it's built like a tank. I mean, it only weighs 185 grams, and this weighs only 155 grams. This is much more heavier, and you'll know that you have this in your pocket. But this right here is so lightweight compared to this. You know, just it's kind of different. Oh, I'm sorry. You have a 5.5-inch 1080p display on the front, but this is so close in design because if you look at these, they both have these chamfered edges. It's just that the Blade V8 Pro has a more metal feel in the hand around the edges. This right here definitely just feels like a plastic phone all the way around. It's a really good phone, but it feels more plasticky. It doesn't feel as solid as the Blade V8 Pro. So in hand feel, I definitely give that to the Blade V8 Pro. The build quality seems a little bit better, and overall, you know, it just feels good in the hand. But design-wise, I like the look of the G5 Plus a heck of a lot better. Some people don't like this camera hump on the back, and I kind of like it. I like the way this phone is put together. So the Blade V8 Pro, while it feels better and it's definitely going to be more rigid, it feels solid in the hand. I like the way the Moto G5 Plus looks. Now screens on these, and it's kind of a different story. They both have a 1080p display, and as you can see here, I've actually loaded these up to look exactly the same. The excuse me, the BlackBerry Pro, just like most ZTE phones, seems to be a little bit brighter in certain situations. But the vividness of the G5 Plus, and obviously it has a higher pixel count because it has a little bit smaller screen. But you know, I just think the G5 Plus edges it out just a little bit, just a hair. Just a small bit. It's not very much, but they look very good. But with that being said, you take a phone like this, I don't think either one of them has a better looking display than the Z Max Pro. I don't know what ZTE did with this phone with the display, but I have put this display up against several phones and it just looks better than a lot of them. So, and that's a big screen on there. That's kind of strange. So, you know, don't need to really compare speakers because this has a front-facing speaker that's actually pretty decent. And this one has a bottom-firing speaker, which, you know, some have said that it was pretty weak. And I have to confirm it is pretty weak. It's not the strong suit of this phone. The speaker is a bottom-firing speaker, and then it's very tinty at times. With extended use, after using this for a while, you could see the difference when placing it against other speakers. So speaker quality definitely goes to the Moto G5 Plus. Now, feature-rich phone is something that everybody would want. So this phone is actually still running 6.0.1. This one has 7.0 out of the box, and then it has also Moto gestures. It has the gestures. And I think this is something that definitely sets Motorola apart from a lot of other OEMs when they're bringing out a budget device. There's so many things here. You have the one button navigation where you can actually turn off the on-screen buttons and use this single button at the bottom down here to navigate. Really sweet. You've got the flashlight, chop twice, twist for the camera, swipe to shrink the screen. There's just a bunch more going on with this phone right here. Now, this phone doesn't have an LED notification, but it does have the screen lights up when you get a notification, and it'll tell you all your notifications on you know, on the screen. So it's basically it sends them up like this at a glance, and you can actually block applications if you want to. It's just really nice. This is just a really great feature for it to be such a budget or pocket-friendly device. Now, mind you, I'm comparing the two models that cost the same. This is $229 and this is $229, and I'll get into that in a second here. But I thought this will be a more fair comparison. So internally, these phones, and so basically the Moto G5 is definitely a little bit more feature rich because it's running 7.0, and then it has those Moto gestures, which just is just great. This phone is having the option. I don't need to put a Nova launcher on here, and this has a stock option too. It's just a little bit closer to stock, and literally looks like stock on this phone right here compared to the slight skin of the ZTE, but that can be changed by just putting a launcher on there. So I've got Nova launcher on here, and they both run really well with Nova launcher. They run the same, but using them in their native form, the Moto G5 performs just a hair different. Now, camera quality is something that, you know, the Moto G5 to me wins by a landslide. It does have the same aperture as the S7, and I've compared this with the S7, and this phone held its own. I mean, having a 1.7 aperture on this rear camera just does wonders in certain low light situations, and in daylight situations. Pretty much just everything about it is really nice. I like the camera interface on here. I like that I can twist and turn the camera on right away. Just little quick things like that really help you out, believe it or not. So just the overall camera interface of this phone is really nice. I do like on the ZTE though that I can tag my photos with my name. Certain things like that are really sweet, and I can actually tag photos. I forget which phone it is. I think it's my other phone. This is another phone I have where you can tag. I think it's a G6 where I can tag. Yeah, it's a G6 where I can tag photos with my name. But other than that, overall quality though, video and photos, I think the Moto G5 Plus definitely is a winner in that category. Now, battery life on both of these are very close, but the BlackBerry Pro edges it out probably by about 45 minutes or so. So the BlackBerry Pro, we all know this phone can push out 8 hours easily. and so can this phone too, in a 24-hour time period. But the Blade V8 Pro, I think I've achieved over 9 hours before on this one. And with this one, I'm pushing right up to 8 hours of screen on time. So that's just something, and it might sound crazy, but that's a lot of screen on time for a phone in 24 hours. And it actually can make it past 24 hours. Both of these phones can make it past 24 hours. So what's inside of both of these phones? Well, this one has a 3,000 milliamp hour battery, and that extra 140 milliamps in this one pushes it over the top probably just a little bit. So battery life definitely goes just by a hair to the Blade V8 Pro. It definitely does. As far as price goes, I think these phones are probably some of the most equally balanced phones overall. I think they're really nice. I think they both are great purchases. You could go with the 2 gig version and 32 gigs onboard storage. They both have an SD card slot. They both have 32 gigs. I don't think the 3 gigs in here makes this phone outperform this phone at all. One thing I want to stress on some things here, the home button on this phone is not an active home button. So I can just lock, and I didn't really touch on it too much, but I can lock this phone. I can pretty much control the phone with this home button. See? I can pretty much do anything with that home button. With this one, it's a button that you have to click. And that's not a bad thing, but it's nowhere near as fast as this one, and the functionality is not there. The G5 has more functionality. And also this one has keys on the bottom there, capacitor keys, but you can barely see them. There's 2 little dots there. And some people don't like that. And you probably wouldn't even know that they were lit up right now just with this lighting that I have it in. You can barely see them. But there is a back button and there's a reset button. And that's just something that, you know, some people complained about on the Blade V8 Pro at launch. And they also complained about it on the Z Max Pro. But the Z Max Pro at least has the buttons that look a lot brighter. It does. So with that being said, you know, I know you're going to ask which one would I recommend. I would definitely, for a number of reasons, I would recommend the Moto G5 Plus over the Blade V8 Pro. The Blade V8 Pro just came out, but I'm kind of waiting on an update for this phone to compete with phones like the Moto G5 Plus, because this phone has a much better speaker. Cameras are just as good as the phone I'm recording with, the S7, and it's better than other phones. I will be comparing the camera on this one to the G6 and the Ultra, but the cameras on this alone are worth the purchase at $229, hands down. And you've got the Moto gestures, you got the front-facing speaker, you got the nice active home button down there. This one does have a 5.2-inch display, and this one has a 5.5-inch display, but there's really not much difference to me. You put them side by side, you compare the screens, it's not that much different. This phone is also a little bit smaller, so you get to use with one hand easier. If you look at the bezels on both of these phones, they're both big. But with the Moto, you're getting some kind of activity there. Because you're going to need the area for swiping if you decide to turn off the on-screen buttons, and then you get all of this 5.2-inch display. So, you know, you get more screen over here, but I think the quality of this screen is just a hair better. So of these two, I mean, I'll recommend them both, but if we were walking into a store together, I would tell a person, hey, you know, because this battery life is just a hair better than this one, but you get much better cameras, speakers. You're probably going to get an update on this one faster than this one if that's important to you. But I just think the Blade V8 Pro is still a solid device for $229. I would recommend both of them. But if you back me in a corner and tell me, Jay, I'm only picking one of these, I'm going to tell you to get the Moto G5 Plus. So it's your man Jay Will. Quick comparison here. I think they're both solid devices. There's no getting around it. They're both solid devices, and you can't go wrong with either one of these phones. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.